So my name is Sakeitha King. I'm a hairstylist by trade, and I work in the film and TV and entertainment industry. And my goal here with Camera Ready Convos with Sakeitha is to pretty much help raise and boost the morale within our industry after last year's ordeal with the pandemic and all of the other political and different things that were happening within our country and worldwide globally. So this is a platform where we elevate and we inspire, and I talk to other creatives within the industry, and they give their story and perspective, and hopefully we can generate some movement in a positive direction. So today we are going to be talking to Kia Sterling, the illustrious hairstylist of the Northeast and internationally. So Kia, I'm going to go ahead and have you pretty much introduce yourself to everyone and let us know who you are.
Hey, Sakeitha, first I want to thank you for having me. This is an amazing platform, and I'm just honored that you chose me to be one of your featured creatives. So thank you again for that. Yes, my name is Kia Sterling. I am an international hairstylist, specializing in runway and editorial. I am an artist on a team called the Beauty Underground. It's an artistic team. We fly all over the world and we do shows. We do, NAHA. We do the alternative show in London and the hairdressing awards in Spain and, Fashion Week in Paris. So I get to move around a lot. And so that's pretty cool. And I also specialize in wig design. I have a wig line called the Melanin Collection that I created in 2016. And basically the wig line, it kind of came from me. And, I would just I changed my hair a lot. So I would just kind of be walking down the street and people would say, "Oh, I love your hair. What is it? Or how can I, be a part of this?" So I'm like, it's a wig. And it kind of prompted me to start this wig collection because so many people kind of wanted my look. And I specialize in natural textures. So that's what the wig line is based on. It's all natural textures, from coily to braids to locks to just really pretty natural textures. And I'm coming out with a few new wigs in the next maybe month. So I'm excited about that. So it started off with 6 wigs. Now it's 9, I think. And so that's pretty exciting. And I'm also an educator. I kind of do a lot of things. I'm also an educator. I educate hairstylists on editorial, runway, custom wig design, extension work, things of that nature. So that's pretty much what I do.
Yes. And I can attest to that education because every time I come to Philly Fashion Week, I learn something new. My game is up just another level. So that I can definitely say education is your thing. You are very clear and concise, and the creative aspect is you definitely bring that elevation to the hairstyles. So that's something that I definitely, so anybody who is looking for an educator or somebody who can teach you how to do some texture or just high fashion runway editorial hair, Kia is the person to see.
Yeah.
So let's start with what inspired you to get into hairstyling, and how has that inspiration either stayed the same or continued throughout your journey, especially now moving forward?
Well, as a young girl, I was around a lot of glamour. My mom, my aunties, my grandma, and everything was just all about being pretty. I just can remember them having the most beautiful makeup, having the most beautiful hair, and just clothes. And I was, a 7-year-old little girl, very attracted to that. So that's how I got attracted to beauty. And I just got fixated on hair around 8 years old. I used to sit on the edge of the bed and watch my mom do her hair every day. And I was just mesmerized by it. And I found myself very attracted to that. So, shifting into teenage years, I started to cut out pictures in magazines like Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, Allure magazines, and I would hang them around in my room all the way up to my ceiling. So I always, it kind of kept me inspired. Now, I knew I wanted to be a hairstylist, but at that time, my family was more on getting a college education. So I'm like, oh, I really want to do hair. I really don't want to go to college. But at that time, everybody was going to college. So I went to college like everybody else did. And went to college. Of course, I did hair in my dorm and didn't like school, but I liked the social part of it. You know, I liked the partying, the hanging out. I met a lot of really cool people. I mean, I literally set up shop in my dorm. I was like, I want to be a hairstylist. So I didn't focus on college at all, focused more on hair, was on academic probation. My dad was like, what are you doing? I'm like, hair. So after 2 years of college, I was like, I have to say something to my parents because I just can't do another year. So, you know, I reluctantly had this conversation with them about not wanting to go back to college, wanting to become a hairstylist, and thinking that they wouldn't support me, that they were like really gung-ho on, no, you got to finish college. And they, you know, both my parents were like, well, you know, we want you to be happy in whatever you do. And you seem happy around beauty, fashion, and hair. So my dad was like, find a cosmetology school and I'll pay for it. And I was like, that's all I had to say. After all these years, I could have just went to cosmetology school right out of high school. So I started cosmetology school when I was, I think, 20 years old. And that was, you know, a cool experience, but I wanted to get to the good stuff. You know how we are in school, but I excelled in school. I knew this is where I'm supposed to be. I was comfortable. I was around other students that wanted to be creative. So they gave me, you know, a comfort that I felt like I'm in the right space. And of course, in the beginning, it's really hard. You know how it is when you graduate from school, you're trying to, you know, pick the right salon, which is very important, train under the right people, get as much education as you can. And, you know, I did all those things, but there was always something there that was missing, you know, and I wasn't sure what it was at the time, but I love doing hair. I love being creative. I love working in a salon, but something wasn't really quite right. And so fast forward some years, that's when I decided to go back to when I was 16, when I would hang all those pictures up on the walls of my room. And I was like, there has to be a way that I can kind of venture off into that part of the industry. Because although I love working behind a chair, something else needed to happen. You know, I was so creative and I needed to get it out. And so that's when I started, you know, doing some research on how I can, like, you know, branch on into runway and editorial. I had never done it before. And this was actually probably 18 years into my career. So I started that part of my career really late. So I just started doing my research, connecting with other artists, you know, makeup artists, not hairstylists, makeup artists, photographers, fashion stylists, models, and building a portfolio. Because I knew I didn't have a portfolio. I knew I needed to build one. So let's say this was about 10 years ago. And I knew that in order for me to, you know, time wasn't on my side. So I knew I had to kind of move quickly. So I knew in order for me to get to the next level, I'm going to have to just like work like crazy. You know what I mean? To really get my work out there quickly, because I wasn't 25 years old. You know, I'm like, time isn't on my side. So started doing that. Had a lot of success with that, and just started putting my work out there. People started noticing it, sliding in the DMs of people. You know, now social media is out, so now I can like slide into the DMs. I want to get on your radar so you know who I am, you know what I can do. So that's kind of how my career kind of transitioned into the editorial and runway space. Yeah.
Awesome. So as I'm listening, I hear education, going to get your cosmetology license. I hear support from your family and having that realization that, you know, this is what makes me happy, and accepting that, and then having the confidence to say it out loud. Because I feel like sometimes, especially as creatives, we get told that this is the path and this is how you got to follow it. And that's where success is. And you have this internal struggle where it's almost pulling you in two different directions, because it's like, you can do this or you can do this, but you can't do both.
Yes.
You know, so being able to voice it and then have the support, and no one say, girl, you crazy. That really helps. And even if they said, girl, you crazy, they'd be like, but I'll ride with you, you know?
Yeah.
And then visualizing like where you want to be. So those are like, I think everyone who has taken this path has some part, or has been successful in this path, have like those three key things that kind of reoccur in their story, even though our stories are so unique. So I love that you were able to share that.
Yeah. So I share it with people all the time. Like, you really have to voice, especially young, you know, teenagers. I'm around a lot of people, and they're like, oh, my daughter's 13 and she wants to do hair. I get so excited. It's actually one of my high school friends. His daughter is 15, and he DM'd me like a week ago and said, my daughter wants to be a hairstylist. I said, connect her to me, because I know what that's like. And he's go to college. I know him because we've been friends for over 30 years, but I also know him. So I said, we need to have a meeting, the three of us. I want to help, because I know what that's like being young and being creative, and people that are not creative don't understand creatives. They really don't. Like, my mom is not creative, but my dad was extremely creative. So he got me totally. It took my mom a little bit longer. She fully accepts me now. She's like, you know what? My daughter is just going to be who she's going to be. Like, you can't put me in this little box. I'm not fitting in that box. Everybody wants to be in this box. And, you know, I have cousins and, you know, family members are in the box, and they're good with that. And that works for some people. But, you know, as a creative yourself, that doesn't work for us. We're like the wild child. Can't put me in a box. I'm going to come screaming, get me out of this box. So yeah.
Yes. So how do you stay inspired and motivated? Because you've been doing this for a while, and you have elevated and grown and even built on who you've been before as a hairstylist. So how do you stay inspired and recommit to the process of growth and still pursuing this dream of hairstyling?
Well, that is such a good question, especially I just celebrated 30 years in the industry May 15th. So for an artist that's been in the industry as long as me, I do find a lot of my colleagues who have been in the industry over 20 years struggle with that. And I've struggled with, you know, staying relevant, basically. And that's important to stay relevant. So a lot of it has to do with me staying creative and me just staying on top of what's going on right now and next year. You know, that's a big part of it. I find that as we get older in the industry, we think we know everything. We're like, oh, I've been doing hair 10 years. Nobody can teach me anything. Or, you know, I've been there, done that. It's so much constantly changing and going on. So for one, we have to accept that change and be open to the change, which a lot of times we're not. We're like fighting it, but we have to be open to change. This change just brings newness and more creativity to me. A lot of it has to do with me staying creative. And I have tons of different ways that I stay creative. But sometimes, you know, we get those blocks where it's just like, I don't see anything. I'm just creatively like blind, you know? So I remember a long time ago, I read something and it said, one of the ways to stay creative is to take a different route to wherever you're going. Let's say you drive to work or to the studio, wherever you go every day. Most people get in a car and they drive the same way. It's just, we're creatures of habit. So I remember reading that And I said, oh, I'm gonna try it. So wherever I go now, not just to like work, I take routes, because when you take different routes, you see different things.
Yes.
When you go a route every day, you see the same thing. The same tree's been on that corner for the past 2 years. The grass is still just as green right here. But when you switch your direction, you start to see different things. So that helps me traveling is really important, because again, the eye needs to constantly see new things. As a creative, we have to constantly be stimulated. So when you travel, and traveling can be international travel, it could be domestic travel, it could be traveling to a different neighborhood in your town, in your city, maybe a neighborhood you've never been in, that's a big part of it. I really get stimulated by people watching. I love to people watch. People inspire me. So it could be children. It could be, I like to go to like outdoor events and just sit back and people watch. I get inspired by so many things, food, music. I have like folders on my phone of not just hair, but anything that inspires me, because as artists, we're multi-creatives. Most times, like you're a hairstylist, I'm sure you had 10 other things you're really good at. That just kind of falls under the umbrella. So, I love saving inspirational images on my phone. During the pandemic, when we were on shutdown, I redecorated my apartment, because I really believe when you keep seeing the same thing over and over, you get stuck in a rut. I changed my hair a lot because I get bored really fast. Now, everybody's not like me. I'm not telling everybody go change their hair every other day. But for me, I constantly have to see something different in order for me to be stimulated. That really helps me. I get stuck in a rut. And when I feel like I'm in that rut, I'm like, all right, gotta go see something. I gotta go somewhere, Redecorating your apartment helps a lot too, your space, because your space is where you are most of the time. So you have to be inspired by the things that surround you.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree. You just put something in perspective for me, especially with travel, because I'm a person, I like to go to new places, and I never knew what it was about that, but I always felt like it was just because I've done it my whole life.
Right.
But I want to say maybe 2 months ago, I was like, it was in January, like the end of January. And I said, I want to go see what Dallas, Texas looks like. The flights is $60. Yeah. And the hotel was like dirt cheap. And I was like, I'm going to see. And when I got there, I got to see what it looked like. And then I saw how the people dressed. It was different. And because I work in film, character development is so important to me. So when I'm reading a script or a story about a girl from Dallas, I have a point of reference, a 23-year-old college grad who's working in downtown Dallas. I have an image of that now.
Yes.
And that, I'm so glad that you said that, because it's so important. And and that's something that lives with me. So I would have never brought it to the forefront to tell anyone else. So that's so cool that you shared that.
Yeah, I think it's important, because the average person, they get stuck in a rut. They go to work, they do the same exact thing. We become robots, and we have to break that. And we get caught up, but sometimes we have to sit back and say, okay, what's really going on? And a lot of times you got to change your environment.
Yeah. You have to, because it almost like it's void of inspiration. So you just watch it's Groundhog's Day. You're watching the same thing every day. And especially last year during the pandemic, or even currently now that we're still in it, it's like you can fall into that monotony of just doing the same thing, looking at the same four walls, going to the same grocery store. Even when we put on these masks, like switch that mask up.
Yeah. It's so funny that you say that, because I love Target like everybody else. But people ask me, oh, what Target do you shop? Which Target do you go to? And I'm like, all of them.
Oh.
I go to different Targets. I live in the city of Philadelphia, but I'll go to a Target in New Jersey, which is the next state over. I've been in Targets in Delaware just to see
What
something
they got. Mm-hmm.
just to be in a mindset, really shifts your,
That is awesome. So inspiration and gathering inspiration from different places and different people and trying new experiences help to keep that creative spirit alive. That is awesome. So tell me about like a defining moment in your career, something that just let you know that this is the right space and right time and I'm doing the right thing.
Probably in 2011, when I got booked to do Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week. I think I would have to, that was like the very first opportunity I had to be creative and brought into, you know, like a elevated moment. I've always wanted to work New York Fashion Week. So I really believe that moment, I remember getting booked for it. And I was just like, me? It was before I even started Philly Fashion Week. And I started Philly Fashion Week in 2012. So when I got booked to New York Fashion Week, I was just like, oh my God, this is what I've always wanted to do. This is it. I've arrived. But yeah, I think that will probably be, I mean, I've done so many things after that, but that to me is the moment where I knew I could do this. People are noticing. This is a hell of an opportunity, you know, and I connected with so many amazing artists just being introduced to New York Fashion Week. And that's back at Lincoln Center. So, you know, it's a lot different now, but yeah, I would say that was probably the pinnacle moment when I was like, yeah, I've arrived.
I hate what ALS has done to my dad. I just found out that I have to go home and take care of my dad again.
Kaya, if you fail this class, you lose your scholarship. Intelligence rules the world.
And ignorance carries the burden.
I didn't mean to be rude by listening in, but
I am not going to rest until our people are free.
the more I listened,
Could have freed thousands more if only they knew they were slaves.
the more I knew they wanted me to hear what they had to say.
We can rise from the shackles.
Haven't heard from Uncle Ken in a while.
Our people were lynched. See, that's why we need Brother Jim here.
What does my dad have to do with this?
Intelligence rules the world.
One day, I overheard a conversation.
And you said something about connecting with people. How important are relationships to you in your career? And how do they help sustain?
Well, I think relationships are everything. In any, not just in the creative careers, but I feel like in life in general, just in any type of situation. People always say, I always see on like social media when people say, I'm self-made. And I'm like, not really. You can't be self-made. Somebody helped you. Somebody opened that door and pulled you in. And then it's up to us to open the door to pull somebody else in. But there's no way you're self-made. I don't know how that happens because we're connected to so many people. And since social media, you know, got really popular back in like 2000, I was on Twitter. I got on Twitter in like 2011. So I started really just connecting with people. And a lot of people that I'm around now that I work with, I've met on social media. And I've built those relationships and cultivated those relationships, which are so vital. And I think a lot of times when, I talk to a lot of stylists and they're like, I hate doing hair. I'm just not happy. I'm just not. Well, a lot of times they're in their own way because they don't want to talk to people. They want to get a suite and go work by themselves, which you're not being stimulating working by yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be around other creatives at some point because that, again, I don't, you know, I'm not judging anybody. Everybody does what works for them, but I might be I might need to be overly stimulated sometimes, but I have to be around other creatives, you know, and that helps me, you know, I get inspired. Like I saw your braid on Instagram.
Oh, my uniform ponytail.
Like a week ago, and I commented, and as soon as I saw it, I got inspired. You see what I mean? So I love looking at images. Like I'm one of those people that see something that's not there. I start building on what I see. Like, oh, that's nice, but we can take it to another level. You know what I mean? So I think I got kind of sidetracked with your question. Because, you know, I be talking, girl.
I guess relationships, but no, I get it. Like that all ties in. Yeah, when I did that braid, you were actually inspired, like a little inspired, like a voice in my head, because I was in Miami that week and I had a blowout. Don't ask me why I thought that blowout was gonna make it, but humidity, no. That weekend, that blowout got drop kicked like. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this ponytail because I like ponytails, but you are the ponytail person. And we went to the beauty supply store and I got some packed the braid in here, and I was like, I'm gonna throw this up, and then I said, ooh, I'm gonna do this and that, and then I said, I'm gonna throw in these, and it was like a little conservative because I was limited on my supplies that I had. Right. But I was like, this is fun, and I had channeled my inner Kia.
Well, you had your pretty face. It looks so good with your hair pulled straight up like that. I love it. I was
thank you. Yes, thank you. But yes, that was the like the ponytail. I was just like, yes. And then I told my cousin, I was like, I'm gonna do a little tutorial just to show people how I did it. And so that might happen sometime this week when I sit long enough. Yeah. But yeah, relationships are so important because in this industry, networking is key. And people say so many times, oh, networking makes me uncomfortable. I don't like talking to people, and I'm an introvert. And none of those things matter when you have to get what you need to get and do what you have to do. Like, you can walk into a space, if you have at least, you know how to say your name, you know how to ask somebody else for their name, and you can say, I like to braid, I like to cornrow, I like gold, I like glitter, I like, what do you like? You know, and it starts from there. If you just are one, kind and genuine, you know, you'll find your people. And even if their personalities that are too strong or not strong enough, you'll find where you fit. Because I think I have a quiet personality, but I can talk to people, and I don't have a problem like moving around the room and letting someone else have the space, because it's just, that's where I feel comfortable. And when it's time to step out, you know, I have to learn the skills to do that. So I think it's really important to be able to maintain those relationships and the stewardship of that, just being good to people and in respecting that relationship you build when you establish it. So thank you for.
You know, it's funny, when I first started out doing hair, you know, I was a shy 20-year-old and, you know, introvert. And I remember starting out and my mom said to me, you're going to have to talk to people. And I'm like, I don't want to. I just want to do hair. And my dad used to make jokes to me like, well, you need to go work in the morgue then, because then you ain't got to talk to nobody. I used to be like, oh my God, this is so crazy. But I kind of, that's why I love Beyonce, because Beyonce created Sasha Fierce because she's really reserved and shy. And that's how I felt. So when I tell people this, they're like, there's no way in the world you're shy, girl. No, you are not. I'm like, I really am. I had to create a character over the years to say, you know what, I had to talk to this person. I have to show this person my personality or nobody's going to know who I am. So over the years, that helped me evolve into who I am now, where I can talk to 5-year-olds. It doesn't really matter. But that's so vital in this industry. I would say 80% of the industry is who you know.
Yeah.
I mean, connecting and who you know, that's vital. Because that person that you need to connect with can take you to the next level. So staying in your little corner is not helping.
Yes.
You
very
can
much so.
be amazing. I know some amazing hairstylists, like amazing, who are over in the corner. And I'm like, girl, come here. You gotta let everybody see you. You can't be in the corner. Like, you have to be like, I want the world to know who I am. I want the world to know what I do. But I know that's hard for some people, but that's something you just gotta really be aware of and just really work on.
Yes. I think I hear a lot of stylists say, or a lot of creatives say, I like to let my work speak for itself. And sometimes I feel like that can be a kiss of death, because like, you still gotta look at this. Like, you still have to say, look at my work.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you actually have to draw the attention to the work, because it's so much things happening. People are distracted by so many things. So it's okay to just draw a little bit of attention to what you got going on and share your gift, because you don't want to do your craft or your gift a disservice by being quiet about it.
Exactly. And nowadays, you know, with things shifting and changing, people want to know the face behind the brand, the face behind the work, the personality behind the work. Whereas 10 years ago, people didn't really care.
Yeah.
So it just shows the shift in the industry. Like, well, who's behind this work? Because sometimes people will book you, I like her work, but I love her personality. So sometimes that'll help get you opportunities, jobs, you know, things like that.
Yeah, definitely. So going back to, you said during the pandemic, you kind of like did a lot of rearrangement in your home and trying to make sure that your energies are flowing right and maintain that creativity. What are some of the things that you also picked up during this time that you feel like I'm definitely going to keep doing and make time for moving forward?
I became a plant mom.
Do you name your plants?
Oh God, no, I have too many. I have way too many plants to name. I would never, they're my babies. I call them Pooh Bear. They're all Pooh Bears. But yeah, I've always loved plants. And I was a plant killer. I mean, my grandma was like an amazing planterina. You know, she had an amazing garden. I used to help her as a kid, but I remember me and my cousins, we would be in the garden with my grandma and be like, it's too hot and it's too many bugs. So I'm like, I'm not liking this. But, you know, as you evolve and grow and change and see other things, this helped me kind of, you know, pique my interest into plants. And so, we were shut down for 4 months. So I had a lot of time to research, study, and figure it out. And so, yeah, I have almost 100 plants. I have a lot of plants. Yeah. So they're just like, you know, it's it brings life in a space. It helps with your breathing, you know, it purifies the air. So people come over to my space and they're always like, oh my God, it feels so good in here. I'm like, it's the plants, girl, it's the plants. I have all different types of plants. So yeah, that was one thing. I paint, so I was able to I've been painting for maybe 5 or 6 years, but that was something that I never knew I could do. And one day I wanted some artwork and I couldn't find what I wanted. And I said, girl, go get go to, what is that, Michael's, the craft store, get your stuff and try it. All you can do is fail. It's, you know, creators are risk takers. So it's like, let me see what I can do. And then I started creating this awesome painting. And I did like maybe 3. And then one of my friends came to my house who's kind of connected. You know, this is what I mean by who you know, who's connected. I don't know who you're connected to. But he came to my house and he saw 2 of my paintings that I painted for myself. And he was like, I think I know somebody that want to buy that. Hold on for a second. He makes a phone call. He takes pictures and sends them to the person. And he's like, how much are they? I want them. And I'm like, I wasn't selling them though. He was like, sell your artwork. I couldn't, I wanted to buy it. It was just something I kind of was playing around with. So we have so many, like we're so multi-creative. We have so many things that we can do. It's so many things. Like, you know, we just gotta dig deep. And then that helped me in my hair career, you know, painting and things like that, making jewelry and stuff like that. Yeah, so
that is awesome. Yes, you are a jewelry connoisseur. Like, I love the pieces you wear.
Thank
Do
you.
you work with your pieces, or do you, because I know when we come to Philly fashion, we usually are like, you got it going. And do you normally like style with your pieces, or like what does your jewelry mean to you?
No, I can't do hair with my jewelry at all. Cause like this ring, for instance, this ring is like get hooked on the hair. But basically I'll wear it to, like when we did Philly Fashion Week, I would wear it there, but then I would just like take it off because trying to like braid hair or blow dry. You know, but like I usually wear like a lot of bracelets and stuff like that. I'll keep my bracelets on, but I'll take my
the ring
off. I just like this is the third eye, this ring right here. And in Philly, she created this piece for me about 3 or 4 years ago. I found her on Instagram and slid in her DMs and was like, hey girl, I actually designed it and she made it. So she's amazing. But like more artists, you know, we're all connected.
Yes. So what did you start any new practices during the pandemic, meditating or reading any like new authors, books, sayings? Did you start any new rituals or anything like that?
No, not really. The rituals that I do now, I kind of started in 2016. Like I practice yoga. You know, I'm heavily into meditation. So I just kind of built off of that during the pandemic. I did do a lot of like educating myself on just all kinds of things, you know, self-awareness, health and I'm big in health and wellness, hair, you know, how to take great pictures, things like that. So I kind of did a lot of research on that. So I spent the 4 months really educating myself. You know, I'm starting a educational series called Rock and Refine Runway by Kia Sterling. So that should be coming soon. So I kind of been working on stuff like that. You know, my wig, things like that. Yeah, but honestly, of course, when we got shut down, everybody was in a panic, like, oh my God, we can't go outside. And including myself, I was a little panicked, like, oh my God, we really are gonna be shut down. But after like the first 2 days, I was like, I'm good. I was not mad at that 4 months at all. Like I was not mad at being off of 4 months. It just gave me so many opportunities just to reconnect with myself, because when you're constantly moving and traveling, and it can be exhausting, and we don't ever have to sit down, breathe, meditate. So that really gave me, more time than I wanted, because usually only need maybe a week or whatever. But, you know, so a lot of things did happen for me in those 4 months. Yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So what advice would you give to someone who is coming into the industry now, and what advice would you give them coming into the industry now and starting to build? And what advice would you give someone who is in the industry and considering, like, did I choose a career that was like pandemic or recession proof?
I don't want to sound corny, but the first thing is, of course, believe in yourself. Look for a mentor. Mentors are really important. And you can have a mentor that may not even be a hairstylist. It may just be a life mentor. But having a mentor that you may want to mimic their career, like, meaning, what I mean by that is if somebody, if you want to do, let's say you want to become an editorial hairstylist and you work with someone who specializes in color. It's two different avenues. So you may not be able to learn what you need to learn as an editorial stylist from someone who specializes in color. So you kind of want to connect to someone whose career you may want to mimic. That's why that's important. Stay open-minded. Do your research. Be a lifelong student. Research is so important. People don't research. They think everything, like people always say, how did you get to where you are? I lived on Google and I still live on Google. But people just want these magical ideas to come smack them in the head. It doesn't work like that. Like, you have to put the work in. You have to, it's not just about doing hair. A lot of it has to do with the administrative part of it, you know, that a lot of creatives don't like doing, but it's like the desk work that all directors, you know, if you're creative, you don't want to work behind somebody's desk. So, you know, but you have to put in that work. That's really important. Stay on point with your craft, you know, practice your styling. You know, I always tell people, learn, period, because, you know, you're in film. You need to learn what hair were they wearing in the 1960s and the 1930s. You need to study these things, even as an editorial or runway hairstylist. I remember one time we did a show for New York Fashion Week, and the hair was inspired by Mozart era. So these are things that you have to study, but most hairstylists, they live in the moment. And if you're a true artist, like, you really will study all avenues and all aspects. And, you know, connecting with other stylists who you want to be like, you know, it's like birds of a feather flock together. That's kind of important, that you kind of hang out with people whose careers you want to mimic, or people who are, you know, will share, because that's important to, you know, everybody wants to charge for everything. And I get that, because we got to make our money. But sometimes just showing somebody or telling somebody, somebody showed me. Somebody, told me. I mean, I know ponytail tricks. I show people all the time. Here, let me show you. It's free. Like, you don't have to always charge for everything. It's just about giving back. Because somebody, you know, gave to you, you know.
Yeah, building that community, that sense of community. Yeah.
And just trying to stay focused. Try not to get distracted. Try not to get discouraged. You know, do things to help you not feel this way, because you can get very discouraged. Doors are going to slam, but you got to keep fighting it. They're going to slam. That's just part of the game, though. Yeah. And I think with a lot of the younger artists, they want instant gratification. So if it's not, well, I've been doing this for 2 weeks and nothing happened. Well, the stylists have been doing stuff for 10 years until something happened. So sometimes you have to keep at it. Someone will notice. You know?
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, I think something happened here. Okay, here we go. Technical difficulties that always present. So yeah, that is really great advice. It makes so much sense to really do the research and find out what direction you're gonna go in, because you don't want to spend the time going in the wrong way, because now you got to come back and you don't get that time back. So you really want to spend the time learning or finding out what it is that you want to do. Mm-hmm. And there's a discovery phase, and then there's an execution phase. So knowing when it's time to discover, and then when it's time to execute, and when it's time to move to the next thing is very important. And these are all things that we learn, you know, as we go. Like, we're not gonna learn that just by sitting and thinking about it. You actually got to get up and do it. And then you're gonna learn, okay, so this is when I need to
Yeah.
So when that feeling comes up again, it's like, last time I did this is what happened. So now I need to make that same move or a different move.
Right.
So yeah, that is very valuable information. So you said you have the wig line coming. We're doing the education for runway, which I think is awesome because you don't necessarily always get to hear that. You know, it is you're gonna be you're gonna be solving a problem.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you express beauty, or you share the beauty world beyond being behind the chair.
Yeah.
So it's so important and so necessary for hairstylists and, you know, just creatives in general to see more than all the possibilities of where our creativity lands
Oh my God,
and where we can excel.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of a final takeaway that can carry us into the next season as we move forward as creatives. So is there anything that you want to leave our audience with?
Well, now that the world is opening back up, I'm excited about that. I am excited about that. Because I'm over the mask. I'm completely over the mask. I'm like, a lot of places where I live in Philly, a lot of places now you don't have to wear a mask. So I'm happy about that. But I always tell people, you know, just take your time. If you're not comfortable without a mask on, then wear your mask. But I'm big on building the immune system. So before shifting into the next phase, you know, and I've been shouting this on my social media for the last year, build your immune system. You know, a lot of times we eat foods that, you know, foods affect our cellular makeup, which affect our neurological makeup. So you can actually be eating foods that are causing negative reactions in your body, which is putting negative energy. So you may be behaving abnormally, and sometimes it's because of what you ate. And a lot of people, I've done research on this. I've been vegan for 5 years. So I've done a lot of research on food and how it affects the brain and why we behave the way we behave. So I share that with people all the time, you know, not telling everybody to go vegan. That's not what I'm trying to say.
Right.
But just be aware of the food that you're eating and pay attention to why you may be behaving the way you are. Sometimes you need to look at what you ate. So keeping a food diary, because I know right now a lot of people, some people are vaccinated, some people are not. A lot of people are fearful, but I think the diet will help you fight. You know, the proper diet will help you fight. Your immune system will be built where you can fight against disease. So I give that advice to a lot of people. And just, you know, just be hopeful. It's so crazy because I literally was thinking like, oh, during the pandemic, you know, things are going to slow down. And, you know, when we go back to work, we're not going to be as busy because we can't take as many clients. I honestly feel like I have been busier this year than ever. Like, I mean, and the funny thing is that I'm taking half the clients I was taking before. And I'm not even mad about it. Like, I actually like it. I actually like not being overbooked. You know, you can't do 3 people's heads at one time. It doesn't happen. So that's the new normal for hairstylists that are working in salons. So I definitely think we're going to continue that because I really like it. And the clients like it. You know, they like, it's a different experience. You're able to give the client a better experience, you know? So that is something that I'm looking forward to. I'm just looking forward to being able to hug my friends and, you know, travel and, you know, live life sort of the way it was before. So,
Yeah.
sure.
Yes. Taking the good things from before and adding some more good things to go forward. Yeah. So thank you so much, Kia. I appreciate you doing this. I loved our conversation. I learned a few things that you help bring a lot of things to the surface for me. So I'm hoping that happens for the audience as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I think you're amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I can't wait till we get to be able to go back to the runway and just knock out these fabulous runway hairstyles.
I hate to be out.